Welcome back to another round of MADMAN review with Andrew. On the topic of the day, the most powerful handguns in the world. We'll look at firepower that's hard to imagine, in many cases rivals and in some even outdoes rifles. Normally, handguns are ideal when it comes to portability and often enough also concealability. However, when it comes to performance, they are rather a tool to fight your way to your rifle to do some real damage. In the context of today's world, you might want to use them to fight off an immediate attacker or two. When it comes to defending yourself against assailants wearing body armor or hiding behind cover, or even worse, trying to fend off a bear, they are woefully inadequate. The handguns I'm going to show you today are the complete opposite. They might still have some things going for them when it comes to portability. Concealability, okay, that in many cases is a rather ridiculous proposition. But when it comes to firepower, it's more appropriate to speak of hand cannons. You will send enough power downrange that you have more foot-pounds of energy at 200 yards than a 9mm round can muster right at the muzzle. Your attacker's hiding behind a wall? No problem. You will punch through it. He's wearing body armor? Even better. Penetration is not necessarily, as you will transfer enough energy thanks to the armor covering the body that anyone unfortunate enough to have it on will have his internal organs turned into mush. Having a bear charging at you? Fine, the bullet out of this monster handgun will just slice through it and put it down before it reaches you. A word of warning, these guns come with serious side effects you need to be aware of. Starting with the big bang. You pull that trigger indoors in order to end the life of an intruder in your home, and you can say goodbye to your hearing for at least the next few hours or days. You train with the strongest of these hand cannons frequently, and you'll do some serious damage to your wrist and your bank account. Some of their bullets can cost you as much as $40 a piece. Fast follow-up shots? No way, so aim carefully as you might have only one shot. Literally. Then there's the involuntary movement. Take the strongest of these little fellows and shoot it. Puts a whopping 7,600 foot-pounds of energy and 99 foot-pounds of recoil. This will make you move right in the opposite direction of your shot. There's also the issue of your nose. Make sure to brace yourself if you use one of the strongest models. The gun might actually find itself on a trajectory with your face at its end. Make sure to deflect that movement in order to avoid the emergency room. Also, going for a double-action gun, make sure to keep your finger under control. It's not unheard of some shooters to be that much surprised with the recoil that they involuntarily squeeze the trigger a second time. That being said, it's time to turn our attention to this beautiful array of hand cannons. For convenience, I have made this list in two parts. At the beginning of the triumvirate of these hand cannons, the three strongest models in the order of their destructive power. After that, you have the next 7 models without any particular order. As here, load and barrel length are of greater significance. The triumvirate, the 3 most powerful hand cannons you can find. The number 1 of the hand breakers, the Pfeiffer Zeliska in 600 Nitro Express. The Pfeiffer Zeliska is a revolver manufactured by Pfeiffer Wesson, an Austrian company. This gun truly belongs to the largest and strongest handguns in the world. It's a 5-shot single-action design chambering the 600 Nitro Express, the elephant of handgun rounds. It fires a 900-grain bullet from a rimmed case. With more than 2,000 feet per second, this round puts out more than 7,600 foot-pounds of energy, made for and shot from a double rifle weighing 16 pounds. It develops a force of 99 foot-pounds of recoil. These guns are extremely rare, as originally only one was produced and more were made only on request. You might get this also in a small caliber, like the .458 Winchester Magnum. Of course, I meant small compared to the 600 Nitro Express. The cylinder of this incredible revolver alone weighs already 4.5 pounds. The whole gun comes at 13 1/4 pounds. The barrel is ported and has a length of 13 inches. The loading and ejection are done via a loading gate on the right side. This makes it rather slow, but with this gun, there's no rapid fire anyway, especially not with one full cylinder after another. Parts of this beautiful beast are gold-plated, like the trigger and pins. The price does not reflect that, and it is somewhat north of $16,000. And the rounds? They'll set you back $40 each. This begs the question, why would such a gun ever be designed? Given it's neither a suitable range nor a real self or home defense gun. So why would you want to do with it? Okay, there's some fun to be expected shooting this cannon, but it was more meant for big and dangerous game. If you encounter it unexpected, something like this while hunting for smaller game, there's your last-ditch defense. Alternatively, it saves you when hunting for the big animals, and your rifle decides to give up in the worst moment. The number 2 of the hand breakers, the Magnum Research BFR in 4570. Compared to number 1 on our list, this one is just tiny. It costs you less than 1/10 of the Zeliska. Its barrel length is 7 or 10 inches. However, you can even get it as a snub-nose revolver. No, I'm not kidding you. Imagine shooting 4570 out of a snub-nose. And the barrel length for that? Choose one, as this is custom made. And the power? It's really small. With one of the stronger loads, you just get a little over 3,700 foot-pounds out of it. Yeah, right, 3,700-something foot-pounds. Okay, normally you would not call that tiny, but after the Zeliska with more than 7,600, that's less than half. However, you would absolutely be right not to call that tiny. That's even more true when you compare that to the 7.62 by 51 NATO rifle round, which just develops a little over 2,600 foot-pounds of energy. In this context, getting a BFR 4570, you have a nice hand cannon or pocket rifle. The downside is that the 4570 is actually a rifle cartridge. Shooting it from a barrel shorter than 10 inches, you might not burn all the powder. That diminishes the efficiency of this round somewhat. BFR, by the way, stands for Big Frame Revolver. However, you might see it as short for Big Friendly Revolver. The cylinder holds 5 rounds. Being single action, the loading is done via a loading gate on the right side. A transfer bar makes it save or carry with a round in the chamber directly under the hammer. The number 3 of the handbreaker is the Smith & Wesson 500 Magnum. The Smith & Wesson 500 Magnum was a stunt made again to produce the world's most powerful handgun, albeit within limits. It's the most powerful double-action production handgun on the market. The stunt was a success, and Smith & Wesson is once again the winner in this race. Naturally, the strongest handgun has to be a revolver in order to withstand the pressure and stress placed on the chamber and frame. This makes it possible to shoot bullets with a weight of up to 700 grain, with an energy of more than 2,800 foot-pounds, depending on the load and projectile. It comes close to double the energy the strongest autoloader is able to deliver. It also still outperforms the NATO standard full-power rifle 7.62 51mm. The upside is that the 500 Magnum was developed as a handgun round from the get-go. This makes that factory loads easily burn all the powder before the bullet leaves the barrel. This makes it more efficient. You can get this beauty with different barrel lengths, starting from snubby size all the way up to 10.5 inches. The average of the most powerful handguns. More manufacturers try themselves at designing strong and very strong handguns. That gives us a wide variety to choose from. Here are the strongest ones who did not make it into the top 3. This list is in no particular order. The Magnum Research Desert Eagle 50 AE. One of the most well-known hand cannon is the Desert Eagle in 50 Action Express. Many still know her from the days of IMI, Israel Military Industries, and IWI, Israeli Weapon Industries. Currently, it's being produced by Magnum Research. The same manufacturer also makes the BFR. It's often seen as the most powerful handgun, but that's certainly not the case. However, if you are willing to limit this statement to autoloaders, you would be right. Managing up to 1,600 foot-pounds with a 300-grain projectile, it does not even come close to the big 3, but it surpasses everything else that autoloaders can put downrange. It also surpasses the smaller NATO caliber 5.56 by 45 by a wide margin of around 300 foot-pounds. It works with a gas-operated rotating bolt that locks into place. This makes it work like a rifle, not the typical pistol. It's fed by a 7-round magazine that gives it a slight advantage in capacity and loading speed compared to the otherwise way more powerful rifles. The Smith & Wesson Model 29 and 44 Remington Magnum. Here she is, the gun that started it all, and the man who started it all was Harry Callahan, played by Clint Eastwood. Wielding this marvelous revolver in the movie Dirty Harry, he claimed to have the most powerful handgun in the world, given it was true only for the production handguns and double action at the time. But he was correct nonetheless. Later, Smith & Wesson lost their status as a manufacturer of the most powerful handgun and claimed it back with the 500 Magnum. The Model 29 fires 44 Magnum rounds. With a 304-grain bullet, they manage a velocity of 1,325 feet per second and energy of 1,188 foot-pounds. This is more than enough to punch through car doors or to down someone wearing body armor. It might not penetrate the armor, but whoever wears it will not be in a position to continue fighting. With 6 rounds in the cylinder, the revolver is strong enough to stop a charging bear. At the same time, it is light enough to be carried, affordable enough to buy and train with it, and soft enough to shoot to actually defend yourself with it. Being honest, one has to say that it's still overkill for anything with 2 legs or any animal below bear. However, with it, you make the point that you're aiming to win the fight. The Taurus Raging Judge. The Taurus Raging Judge is the bigger and strongest version of the Taurus Judge. The Judge is loved and hated. Something is the next big thing because of its versatility. Others say that it can do much, but nothing as good as any other gun. The Raging Judge, however, takes the concept on the next level. It can shoot the .454 Castle, .45 Colt, and .410 shot shell. It has a longer barrel, a stronger cylinder, and a double locking mechanism. That brings the Judge with the Raging Judge into a completely different league. Shooting the .454 Castle, you can easily down a target at 200 yards with more energy than with a 9mm right in front of you. With the longer cylinder, you can shoot 3-inch shot shells. Not only can you shoot 5 pellets with 1 trigger pull, the pattern is thanks to the longer barrel makes closer compared to the Judge. With 6 rounds in the cylinder, you can bring up the 30 pellets to bear. Thanks to the cylinder length, you can also shoot the .45 Colt maximum expansion rounds that extends to a diameter of 1 3/4 inches. The real hammer, however, are the .454 Castle rounds. They can bring it to an energy of over 1,900 foot-pounds, making any standard NATO 5.56 round looking insignificant. The Ruger Super Red Hawk Alaskan and .480 Ruger. The .480 Ruger was introduced in 2003. It was at the time the large production revolver cartridge on the market. It fires a bullet with a weight of 410 grain at 1,200 feet per second out of a relatively small revolver with a barrel length of only 2.5 inches. This makes it, on the one hand, small and light, so that you can easily carry it around with you. On the other hand, it can give you the power greater than .44 Magnum to reliably down a bear. This means if you live in Alaska, where encounters with bears are more frequent, you do not have to go shopping with a rifle just in case. Take this little baby with you, and you are well protected. The Freedom Arms Model 83 and .475 Linebaugh. The Freedom Arms Model 83 is another single-action revolver with a loading gate. Revolvers can take higher pressures than auto-loaders. Single-action revolvers, again, can take higher pressures than double-action revolvers, as the cylinder does not swing out, so that it can be made and locked sturdier. With the Model 83, the result is the .475 Linebaugh and a chamber pressure of 50,000 psi. It fires a 440 grain bullet with 1,325 feet per second and more than 1,700 foot-pounds of energy. It will bury itself deep into tissue or destroy it behind body armor and do some really nasty damage. Also penetrate barriers without a problem. The Smith & Wesson .460 Smith & Wesson. The .460 Smith & Wesson is loaded with a chamber pressure of 65,000 psi. In this, it rivals a .454 Castle that generates the exact same pressure. A 260 grain bullet reaches up to 1,900 feet per second as the muzzle of the barrel. It hits the target with a very convincing 2,885 foot-pounds and even surpasses the full power cartridge of NATO. If you plan to face some of the strongest and deadliest animals on this planet, that is the gun to go. Yes, there are stronger ones out there, but they also do come with more recoil. That does not mean that the recoil of the .460 is to be trifled with. To the contrary, compared to the .454 Castle, it will give you something to remember for the rest of your life. The Ruger Super Red Hawk and .454 Castle. The .454 Castle is one of the stronger revolver cartridges developed in 1958. It works with very high chamber pressures of 65,000 psi. That makes it one of the hottest loaded rounds you can get into a double-action revolver. With a 335 grain bullet, it manages a velocity of 1,600 feet per second for 1,904 foot-pounds of energy. That's more than enough to stop a charging bear or an attacker wearing a body armor hiding behind a car. Ruger took the .454 Castle and adapted its Super Red Hawk for it. They created one of the most popular cartridge gun combinations for handgun hunters. It can also easily take out very big game if needed. Here, too, you should aim carefully. Before taking that shot, as aimed follow-up shots take their time. There you have it, guys, the top 10 most powerful handguns in the world. If you like this video, give us a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel so you won't miss out on the episodes to come. Have fun. See you next time.